We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. Hey everybody, welcome to the POMcast on this, I think, Thursday morning. My days are kind of running together. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, I do want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. That's 1-800-330-7461. 1-800-330-7461. What I was trying to do is set it up to where you had a resource in Central Florida for your vacation. We're 18 months into this at this time. So they can help you out with all of your needs and tell you where masks needs to be required. And you're not going to be surprised when you get down here. Your vacation is going to be the best. That is 1-800-330-7461. Travelandcruiseworld.com. See Central Florida like a local. Also want to tell you about bookatailgate.com. Bookatailgate.com, 662-701-1177. They can help you out. They have single game packages, season packages. We got a 3-game homestand coming up. You can store your tailgating equipment with them. They'll do that. They will rent you what you need. They will put a TV on your tent. They will give you another. They will give you another tent if your party exceeds that size, and they'll even pick up your catering for you. That's bookatailgate.com. Again, that is bookatailgate.com. Take it to the Grove, tailgating and events. Give them a hookup. Also, if you're interested in watching the show, you can catch us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis and at Old Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. Also, YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. And, of course, you can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. Down below, you can see the major sites that we are on podcast-wise. Definitely do that. Search Positively Ole Miss. If you could do us a favor and leave a 5-star review. You don't have to say anything. Just leave a 5-star review. And that'll help people hit the algorithm for the show to come up to the top whenever they search Ole Miss podcast. So that's what that is for. So thank you very much for that. What else is going on? Okay, obviously I'm early. I'm about an hour early broadcasting the show. I've got a medical appointment at 11:20, some telehealth stuff. So instead of doing a rush show at 11 o'clock Eastern, I'm doing one at 10 o'clock Eastern so we can do a normal show and you can catch it on demand if you're used to watching it at a certain time. So I apologize about that, but that is the reason. Today I'm going to find out whether or not they're going to do a one-shot surgery with radiation for my tumor, or we're going to do radiotherapy, which will be 35 sessions, and I'm not looking forward to that. That's probably going to either way is going to be a slight interruption with our shows and what's going on, but I would not expect that one to be a very good option. Although it's probably the safer option, but it is what it is. So let's talk about keys to the game. Keys to the game. And I've heard rumors. If you go down to our YouTube page, to our team previews column, there's an interview I did yesterday on the Locked on Auburn podcast is on there. And that side where I answered Auburn questions for 20 minutes about Ole Miss. And he's going to do the same thing this afternoon at about 4:15 Central, 5:15 Eastern. He's going to come on for about 20, 30 minutes, and we're going to do a quick live stream. It's going to be our live stream preview this week. And I'm going to ask him questions from the Ole Miss perspective, so you can see both sides of it, kind of. by doing that. But it's the one down below, the Locked On Auburn podcast, that's showing up in the team previews on the YouTube page. So you can see that there. We have the POMcast at 6 o'clock tonight Eastern. We have Talking Ball with Bill Flowers, and at 8:30 tonight Central. I don't know why I go back and forth from Eastern to Central, so just bear with me. Best of the West with me and Kevin Bohannon. Jake was there last night for SEC After Dark, but he has to do something tonight, so that'll be available. Today has a chance to be a massive day for the show, for the channel, and all of that stuff. So thank you very much in advance. We have definitely a chance to break the all-time record, and I'm looking forward to that. So keys to the game. I spoke with Zach, and he told me, actually dropped a couple of names of who he's expecting to maybe not play, including one semi-important player. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to tell it on here because we don't play the rumors game, as always. But if that starter is not able to play, it will affect Auburn in a unique way. And I'll just put it like that. It's defensive, by the way. But we don't play the rumors game, so it is what it is. And whenever there's something to talk about, we'll talk about. So if that happens and Matt Corral is better and more healthy than he was last week, which we're all expecting that to happen. 22 years old. Everybody knows how fast an ankle gets better as a 22-year-old. So 2 weeks separated from the injury. They took care of it. It should be better than it was. And if this player is out, that is going to affect their secondary. If Braylon Sanders is back, we don't know if he's back. They do not talk about injuries. It's one of my favorite things about this staff is that they don't talk about stuff. The press conference is basically a worthless act. It doesn't matter. Used to back in the day,
Sky Tower radar
for new people.
Near your location.
Yeah, we got a thunderstorm, by the way. I just muted that. But I'll tell younger guys, the way this used to work, they'd hold their weekly press conference. Reporters would go to that weekly press conference with 2 or 3 stories planned, and they would get all the quotes and information and start working on those 3 stories that would release periodically during the week. And that's the way they always did it. Now, they did it also in regards to when the internet age hit, like the Ole Miss Sports News and Ole Miss Spirit back in the day, Scout and Rivals back in 2003. They'd also kind of formulate that same plan. They would do things during the week. So all their information comes from that press conference thing. Now, as content got more and more clickbaity and everything happened through the evolution of the last 20 years, that press conferences has become less and less because it's so clickbaity. People are willing to print anything. So they don't say anything. There's no information that gets out at the press conference. It just doesn't happen. And it's a response to the fact that it just can't be released because it can't be responsibly released. It's going to be used as clickbait. They're going to do like Bo Wallace in 2014 before Alabama, or 2013, maybe it was 2013, said something about confidence in himself, and real similar to the Jerry and Ely comment this year. Well, that ended up being a slight against Alabama. No joke. And they printed it and ran with it, and they tried to make bulletin board material. And that's just the world we live in. That is just the world we live in. And because of that, press conferences have become less and less meaningful. They don't talk about injury news. They don't talk about anything. It really has gotten to the point where being in Oxford does not matter at all. You could cover Ole Miss effectively from Juneau, Alaska. Because it just doesn't matter. You're not going to practice. You're not seeing things. All the peripheral benefits that come with having a person in Oxford do not exist. Not for the football program. They might for the basketball and for the baseball program, but they don't for the football program. And as we all know, football pays all of the bills. If you did a top 10 most important collegiate moments in Mississippi history, a top 10 of all sports, that top 10 would be all football games. And that is including Mississippi State's national championship, Mississippi State's Final Four. Between all of those schools, the top events in Mississippi sports history would be college football related. That's how you know that you're a niche sport. This is nothing bad about niches. But as far as wide-ranging things that affects and move the needles, college football is and always will be king. That's the reason on the Bo Bounds show they talk about SEC football in March. Because it moves the needle. It is the thing that moves the needle. Now, the other stuff, do you want to win them? Absolutely. Congratulations. Do what you need to do. But as far as monumental things, football is always going to supersede baseball and basketball in the state, women's basketball, and all that stuff. So, I was talking about, I don't mean anything bad by niche. I have a niche. I'm going for a niche. I genuinely want people that are frustrated with the team sites to come over. I am genuinely wanting people that want to talk just about Ole Miss football and nothing else. Or not football, but sports. I am genuinely wanting a way that we can get together and form out that is not the same old, same old. We're not going to play the fear-based clickbait game. We're not going to play the telephone game. We're not going to do anything like that. Remember, I was in the media for 20 years. I've had these conversations. I know what's going on. It's irresponsible if you just push rumors for your own selfish need. Because with a subscriber-based system, it becomes which story can make you money. What can we do? And what inevitably happens is they result to fear because it's the lowest hanging fruit because all people are either greedy or lazy. It's one of the two. And they're always going to drop down to that lowest common denominator of fear. And it's going to become, will Lane Kiffin leave? Is this player going to transfer? Are they going pro? And it turns into a negative situation. It's framed in a way that makes you like genuinely worried about what's going on. And we're not going to do that. Our niche is not going to do that. Period. And we're not going to make up news, which sometimes happens, as you saw. The whole Ole Miss Spirit to on 3 happened just because of that. So nobody's above it. They all do it. Did they get caught? Yeah, they got caught this last time. And it caused a big storm. But it all happens. And it's all because every story makes you money. You need stories that make you money. You don't just need information, which is what we're going for. Everything we do, if you notice about all our shows, they're released to everybody. We're not selling ads or anything on them. There's no rights fee. We're trying to just get the information out there. And people don't understand it, but the real thing is people don't understand the goals. What are the goals? My goal is not to make money. I've already made money. My goal right now is to get that information out and get it in as many places as possible. And also right now I'm building a hell of a network. As you can see with the Zach Blackerby thing today, Jake Thomas is doing a lot of stuff with us. Kevin Bohannon's been fantastic. Corey Burton's been amazing. Jeb Beecham, all of them. Craig Ladd, all been amazing. And we're just building a fantastic network, like Finney Hardy at Kentucky. Ole Miss doesn't play Kentucky right now, but eventually that they will come into the fold. And the Believe Network is really, the Believe and Locked On networks are really good resources for actual fans because a lot of former players and stuff go into that side of the business, and they do a good job of actually targeting them. So it is what it is. So, oh yeah, Bill Flowers also. I forgot to mention Bill Flowers. He does a great job on talking ball each week. So big thanks to him as well. But the key matchups for the game, good grief, we're 15 minutes into this and I haven't even done the key matchups yet. So like I told the Locked On Auburn show yesterday, the most important thing to stop when it comes to Ole Miss is the running game. If you don't stop the running game, you can't stop the passing game. And if both of them start going, it's going to be like a slot machine out there. So I expect Auburn to try and load up and stop the run. They're probably going to play similar to the way Tennessee did. And, a full-strength Jerry Neely is going to help us out. They all provide a little bit different things at running back, like Snoop Connor, the bullback. Henry Parrish is kind of the in-between. Jerry Neely is kind of the speed back, although he's tough to tackle. He's legitimately tough to tackle. And between one of them, usually one of the three works. In case, if you don't notice, if you just look at the stat line this week, one of the three will work. That's the way it always happens. And if for some reason you're able to slow those guys down, you got the Matt Corral stuff, who was hurt by having less than a full strength squad at Tennessee and at LSU. I mean, Miles Battle playing wide receiver right now. I expect Braylon Sanders to come back, if not this week, for A&M. By A&M, I should say. He could come back for Liberty. I've heard nothing really necessarily about that, but it just looks like him trying to play against Tennessee, getting sit out. It looks like he needed to sit out a week, and then he can come back. The same thing goes with Matt Corral's ankle. Dontario Drummond can probably get a little bit well this week and get back to what he normally is. And hopefully by A&M or State, Jonathan Mingo is back. If we can get out of this game against Auburn this weekend with a W, we don't leave the state of Mississippi again. We have a 3-game homestand that includes Liberty and Vanderbilt. A&M is sandwiched in the middle. Liberty becomes like a really big trap game, by the way. But we'll talk about that next week because it's only a trap game if Ole Miss wins against Auburn. So Mississippi State, they're kind of favored right now. Not favored, they're 1.5 points underdogs to Kentucky. I don't understand that line. That line seems way too small. It is what it is, but it seems way too small. I don't know if, maybe Kentucky's offense, maybe people were scared by Kentucky's offense going against that Zach Arnett defense and what's going on. Maybe they think that the offense from Mississippi State has figured some things out. Maybe they're excited by the 45-point swing. I do know this, that people are emotionally betting more than they emotionally bet before. And like 10 years ago and now, it's not even close. Maybe it's just a widespread amount of betting that can be done, but it affects the lines. And like the Auburn game, when it came out, Ole Miss was favored, I think, when it opened by 1, or Auburn was favored by 1, something like that. But I told everybody, it's like, hey, this thing's going to go to -5 by the end of the week. And then on Saturday before the game, it's going to come back down. And so it's going to fall. It's going to end up somewhere around Auburn by 3.5. But it's because people are widespread emotionally betting on the games. And Auburn, they emotionally bet on their team. They really do. Alabama's the same way. Alabama will always be favored by large amounts of money because Alabama fans bet on the game. And so it is what it is, basically. But I hope Matt Corral can push off and be more effective offensively. If he's more effective and back to his old self, Auburn can give up, really. I told Zach yesterday, I would not be surprised if Auburn won by 3 touchdowns, if Ole Miss won by 3 touchdowns, or if it was 5 points either way. Nothing would surprise me in this game. It could all happen. Playing in Jordan-Hare, weird things happen to Ole Miss. They always have. And yeah, I just can't necessarily get a read on this game. Now, my prediction is, if you watched SEC After Dark last night, is Ole Miss wins and covers. They win outright and they cover the spread. So I'm taking Ole Miss in that game. The score is I'm predicting somewhere around 31-28. It's going to be really important that Chance Campbell and Mark Robinson do a great job against Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter. It just is. Everybody's going to point to Bo Nix, but it's the same thing. If you don't stop their running game, it opens up. They might do a little bit different stuff than we do. They may not be as tempo-based as we are. But the second step feeds on the first step. And if it gets to the point where Auburn can just run whatever they want to, it has a chance to look like Arkansas. It really does. And you end up with players trying to do more than their job, which opens up a second hole and a third hole. And all of a sudden, your defense is nothing but holes. That's the way that works. And Tank Bigsby, great back. Probably the best running back in the SEC. They run a pro-style spread system that looks a lot like what LSU did. Now, LSU did a lot of RPOs in the middle of the field and things like that, and tried a little gap scheme, like out of their identity running the ball. This is in Auburn's identity. Now, what we need to remember is they played Arkansas without Jalen Catalon and won the game. Arkansas decided that KJ Jefferson, they read the press clippings and tried to let him throw the ball too much. Okay. Not making excuses what happened, but those two things actually happened. Other than that, they lost to Penn State. They lost to Georgia. They should have lost to Georgia State. They put a 60 burger on Alabama State and Akron. So what I'm saying is, when it comes to Auburn, the Arkansas win might have been good, but Arkansas mentally was still playing Ole Miss. We told you about that. After the 7 overtime game, Ole Miss lost 3 straight games. And it was because that game was just beating them over and over and over again. That was one of those games. Arkansas may have gotten right against Pine Bluff. I don't know. But they still have Bama. They still have LSU. They still have Missouri. Missouri has the worst rush defense I've ever seen. It's 290 yards a game given up. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like playing a service academy every week, seeing this slot machine of the numbers go up. I don't know what's going on. Defense is hustle and fit. If you are where you're supposed to be, you're going to be okay. So how are they giving up 290 yards a game? That's absolutely ridiculous. Missouri is frustrating, although their uniforms are straight fire this year. But I expect Ole Miss to show out well against Auburn this weekend, get the win, get to 7-1 in front of the 3-game homestand, and then things can start to get really interesting. I expect Kentucky to drop 8 consistently last year. That's all they did, drop 8. They unbelievably disciplined, and they did that, and I think their defense scored more points than Mississippi State's offense. Now, I think Mississippi State's going to be at a different level because they have better players this year, but we'll have to see if Kentucky can score, if Mississippi State gives them the ball, things like that. The cocktail party, the CBS game. This is the 3rd game of the weekend, by the way. This game got picked for CBS because of reputation. The best game of the weekend is Ole Miss and Auburn. The best game of the second best game is Mississippi State and Kentucky, and then you have Florida and Georgia, and after that you have the Missouri Vanderbilt game, which is a friends and family game. So I just don't know if Florida has the weapons to really attack Georgia. They're going to line up and try to run the ball in Georgia. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think they're going to put up some yards. They might get over 100 just because of the quarterback run game. But I think Florida's going to throw the ball to Georgia defenders. I think they're going to turn the ball over. I don't think they can play clean. because the run game is going to get taken away to an extent, and because of that, they're going to be in a position to where they have to, I don't know, throw the ball, become one-dimensional, and AR-15 is not that guy. Emory Jones is not that guy. I don't know who that guy is. This is a reminder to Florida fans that Matt Corral was a steady commitment to Florida. And he wasn't a take. They took Emory Jones. So, just a reminder there. Vandy and Missouri, we talked about that. Missouri is like a 16-point favorite on the road at Vanderbilt and giving up 290 yards a game. That tells you how bad Vanderbilt is. The season coming into it, I was the president of the Ken Seals fan club. I was a huge guy. But this is not working at Vanderbilt. The Clarkley experiment feels like a 3 and done. Might be a 2 and done. Because they're just a disaster right now. Now, part of that is so many players transferred when Derek Mason left. They felt the brunt of that. And part of that is the system change of Derek Mason's players going to his. You actually need to give Clarkley 5 years if you want him to be successful. If you want him to be a sacrificial lamb, give him the normal time. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes back. And let's see. Yeah. Going to give you a couple minutes back. I'm going to do the doctor thing at 11:20. I will report on everything. I have no secrets, so it is what it is. But we'll be back tomorrow with the uniforms for Ole Miss and all of that good stuff, and we'll touch on some final issues for Auburn. Tonight, remember, don't forget the live stream preview with Zach Blackerby at 4:15 Central. If you want to catch it on demand, catch it on demand. And also, the interview I did with him last night for Locked On Auburn is down there as well. And let's see, Talking Ball with Bill Flowers is 6 o'clock Eastern tonight, 5 o'clock Central. And tonight at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central is Best of the West. So I want to tell everybody, have a good time. Have a great Thursday. And, of course, hotty toddy.